Well, Hadar, thank you so much for that very kind introduction and for the enthusiasm that you bring to leading the chamber. I understand you're going to have a new leader in place in the next couple of months. I'm looking forward to continue working with you in collaboration with Edmonton's business community. And I'm also glad to be joined today by a couple of ministers. I've got Minister Rick Wilson here. He is our Minister of Indigenous Relations. I also have in my notes that Minister Rick McIver is here, our Minister of Municipal Affairs. Is there some truth to that? Okay, maybe not. I also have it in my notes that Nate Glubish is here, our Minister of Technology and Innovation. There he is, in the back. And I do have an MLA from Drayton Valley, Devon, a new addition to our team, Andrew Bochenko, and he's going to be with, thank you for being here, Andrew. And he's going to be working with Rick Wilson in a parliamentary secretary role, assisting with our continued collaboration with Indigenous communities. And I know it's on everybody's mind, so I do want to get to it right away. What does the election mean for Edmonton? Now, I am conscious every time I go into an Edmonton room that only 35% of you voted for me. But that's okay, because we're also very fortunate to have fantastic representation from the capital region, like I'd mentioned with Minister Nate Glubish. He is also the MLA for Strathcona Sherwood Park. And he's in a senior portfolio along with several of my other capital region MLAs. Dale Nally is our Minister for Service Alberta and Red Tape Reduction, and he's our MLA for Morinville St. Albert. I should just pause for a minute to mention that we've added an additional duty to his portfolio. He is also going to be taking over our AGLC and looking at ways that we might be able to improve some of the issues that I've heard in that area. So for anyone in the room who's in that world, just know that it's risen to my desk, and I've told my ministers if something rises to my desk, then we're going to take care of it. So Minister Dale Nally is going to be working on that. So anyone who's in that field, feel free to be in touch with him. We also, though, have Cyril Turton. He's the Minister of Children and Family Services. He's new to Cabinet, but he's the MLA for Spruce Grove, Stony Plain. We also have our government whip, that's Shane Getson. He's the MLA for Lac St. Anne Parkland, and he's also my parliamentary secretary in intergovernmental relations, because he just did tremendous work on the issue of economic corridors. I have a little bit I can say about that, but hopefully in the Q&A I'll be able to answer a few more questions, because there's just so much opportunity for us in taking the lead on establish the corridors, and he's going to be working closely with me. And then, of course, we have a Jackie Armstrong-Hominick from Fort Saskatchewan, Vegreville, and Brandon Lunty. He is from Leduc-Beaumont, so yeah. Oh, and he is here too. Oh, hey, Brandon, I'm glad you're here. So do know the way I look at Edmonton, especially the incredible partnerships that you have built out in the capital region. We have people at the cabinet table as well as in our caucus table who are going to bring the issues and concerns of Edmonton to make sure that nothing gets missed. And while our whole government is dedicated to Edmonton, its families, growing the economy, and ensuring the safety of its residents, those members especially will always ensure that the capital region has a strong seat at the table. I should also mention it's always nice to see Edmonton's Mayor, Amarjeet Sohi. He's at our table as well, and he is not shy about telling me what his priorities are. As are Mayor Rod Frank of Strathcona County, Mayor Alana Nachu of Sturgeon County, and Mayor Bill Daniluk of City of Beaumont. And of course, once again, thanks to the Edmonton Chamber for inviting me to join you here today, because I always appreciate a chance for a discussion on expanding our economy with groups that understand the importance of private enterprise and how it fuels our growth. Edmonton Chamber of Commerce is dedicated to growing and expanding the economy of the whole capital region, and it's one of the reasons why I respect the Chamber's contributions and insights. I should mention that the seed was planted for the idea of economic corridors by a name that will be familiar to all of you, James Cumming, when he was the president of the Edmonton Chamber all the way back in the later part of 2008-2009, when that was one of the policy tables that you were looking at. And it stayed with me all this time, and is part of the reason why we're acting on it now. So continue doing that incredible work. It's very important. I just want you to know that it does matter when you go to those policy tables and policy discussions. What I want to speak about today as I mentioned, is what does this election mean for Edmonton? And my answer is simple. It means more investment in the city's priorities and more support on the issues affecting it. Our government wouldn't have it any other way. You are critical to the province's success, and we want the world to know that. So you'll continue to see more of our pro-growth, low-tax, free market policies that continue to make Edmonton a magnet for jobs and growth and investment. Businesses are noticing Edmonton's strengths. Investors are noticing. You are a big factor in one of the, what we have seen as one of the leading status of having the country develop a high-tech hub. As of Q1, Edmonton ranked 6th in the country on the number of venture capital firms and deals, and 3rd in terms of the number of dollars invested. And in February, the city landed one of the only 3 Canadian mega deals announced in the first quarter when Jobber locked down $134 million in funding. And there's so much additional potential in sectors such as shipping and logistics, manufacturing, biosciences, and petrochemicals. And on top of that, the airlines are creating new links for visitors to learn just how much Edmonton has to offer. I know WestJet is here at the table and is one of the sponsors, but in May, the German airline Condor began its twice-weekly direct flights between Edmonton and Frankfurt. Germany's main international airport is one of Europe's major air hubs. And just 2 weeks ago, Flair Airlines launched a new route between Edmonton and Quebec City. And I also see a large contingent, as I mentioned, of WestJet here, who are there. Everybody's got the same tag from the chamber. It's got WestJet colors. So I assume that everybody at my table was from WestJet, but that's good marketing. But I do see a large contingent from WestJet here, and they're making sizable investments in our province. The aviation industry is critical to diversification. And we're partnering with Edmonton International Airport, which has set the goal of generating $3.8 billion in economic output by 2025. Other transportation routes offer even more possibilities. As the first major city inland from the Port of Prince Rupert, Edmonton is well positioned to be a key node in the transport corridor, moving commodities to Asian markets or from BC to the rest of Western Canada and the U.S. Midwest, as well as the Gulf Coast. And that's why we have been so firm in advocating for a rapid resolution to the BC port strike. And we understand the importance of working with other jurisdictions to improve infrastructure and remove bottlenecks that are affecting the movement of goods. We're also supporting the Port Alberta project, a public-private partnership to turn Edmonton into an inland port with its rail links and airline cargo capacity. I think I heard about that at a chamber event all those years ago as well. And you may have heard also that in the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors mandate letter, I asked him to look at the issue of commuter rail, modeled after what we see in Toronto with their Metrolink system, using the existing heavy rail lines of CP and CN. So it's a bit of a different model. But when I was in Toronto, I discovered that it began its very first line of the GO train when that city was about 1.6 million people. And when you look at the Edmonton area and the Calgary area, we're kind of at that point where we've got to start thinking about that now. And it seems to me that's the most efficient way for us to use the existing rail lines to connect the Edmonton International Airport with a route that will come downtown. And so I'm looking to see if we can do some analysis on that and ideally a pilot project if the numbers look good. But that's if we can start that, then you can only imagine how it would grow. So I just wanted to plant the seed with you about how important I think the Edmonton International Airport is as a hub driving investment in the entire region. This makes the entire metropolitan region a foreign trade zone with tax and duty relief for unfinished goods brought in for value-added manufacturing. And it offers a concierge-level support for businesses to help them reduce costs, to speed up their processes, and to expand in global markets. Edmonton also has many commodities that global markets need, with one of them being hydrogen. The global hydrogen market is expected to be worth trillions by 2050. And this city can produce some of the lowest cost hydrogen in the world. I might just mention that I have an opportunity to drive a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle a little bit later today, Toyota Mirai. I think Toyota has identified 400 of those cars for our market. And somehow Edmonton International Airport has managed to scoop up 100 of them, right? Way to go, Edmonton International. And Dale Nally has his sights set on 3 of them. So we're seeing if we're going to be able to buy 3 of them from the Edmonton International. So I'm just going to hop in a car, drive over to Taste of Edmonton, which is also amazing, and hopefully find a donaire. Because you may have, for some reason, just craving donaires. Oh, you guys do go follow things on Twitter. And this city can produce some of the lowest cost hydrogen in the world, as I mentioned. Edmonton has everything necessary, accessible and affordable, with natural gas, skilled workers and tradespeople, an experienced energy sector, and of course a large network of pipelines. These assets are backed up by the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub, which is an alliance between governments, Indigenous communities, researchers, and economic development organizations. And its aim is to build out projects for the production, transportation, and use of hydrogen. And it works with industry to support research to build a world-class hydrogen economy. Alberta's government is further supporting the hub with our hydrogen roadmap, which is a plan to turn the province into a leader in the energy transition. So there is so much to be excited about. And I know that there are still challenges ahead to be solved, like the ongoing addiction and mental health crisis. And we are working with every level of government through Edmonton's Public Safety Task Force, supported by record investments from the province's level in what we call our recovery-oriented system of care. But the optimism in Alberta is unshakable. You can see it in the data, but you can also feel it as well. Between January and March, almost 16,000 Canadians chose to make Alberta their home. That is our 7th straight quarter of net interprovincial growth. And they were joined by almost 36,000 people who moved here from around the world. Many people moving here through from Ukraine and finding settlement and love and hope as well. Andrew Boychenko has been very key in helping with that, and we're going to continue doing it. But we were on track for the fastest population growth since 1914, according to economist Trevor Tombe. The best and brightest are choosing Alberta. Businesses from all over the world are choosing Alberta. Families, job creators, entrepreneurs, employers and business owners know that low taxes, good jobs, a skilled workforce, and high wages matter. And the economic diversification that we have been talking about for decades is actually happening. We're committed to moving the economy forward, and we're reaping the benefits. We ended the fiscal year with $11.6 billion surplus, exceeding budget 2022 projections by $11.1 billion. And in 2022-2023, Alberta paid down $13.3 billion worth in debt. We eliminated $260 million in annual debt servicing costs, and that money will be money that stays here in our province to be invested in our priorities. And because we invested further in the Heritage Savings Trust Fund, we have also kept its market value growing. It has now grown by $2.5 billion this year that will help secure Alberta's future. And as that fund keeps on growing, ultimately it will generate more investment income. And if you can forecast out 10 years or 20 years or 30 years into the future, imagine how large that fund will be. And that is part of the plan for how we wean ourselves off the roller coaster of resource revenues that we've seen over the last number of years. So we're just getting started, but I can't wait to see what it looks like. Lower debt servicing costs and higher revenues will help support high-quality healthcare, education, job training, infrastructure investments, and assistance for Albertans who need it. And let's talk about higher revenues for a minute. The high price of oil played a very strong role in ensuring that we ended the fiscal year on solid footing, but it's not the whole story. In our first term, we reduced the corporate income tax from 12% down to 8%. In order to encourage investment and diversification. And it's working. Clearly it's working. We brought in a record $8.2 billion in corporate income tax in 2022-2023. That is the highest amount we have ever had in a single year. There are a number of different factors that play into corporate income tax revenue, but the baseline is this. Pro-growth, low tax, free market policies are important. They matter. And it is no accident that investors are choosing Alberta. And we are going to keep that welcome mat rolled out. Obviously, Alberta has a lot going for it. And our government is making the most of those favorable conditions by creating the most business-friendly environment in Canada. That starts with our low tax environment, and it continues with our focus on red tape reduction so that Alberta's job creators, like you, can do what you do best. And we want to ensure that you are able to succeed. We want you to continue to create jobs and build our economy. We're committed to ensuring that Alberta remains the economic engine of Canada, and that Edmonton is obviously a very big part of that. We have a lot going for us, and I am really excited about the future of Edmonton, and I'm really excited about the future of Alberta. I'm excited to continue to partner with all of you to continue building a strong future for every Alberta family. And it's a strong future that includes a strong Edmonton, building on your strengths, finding new opportunities to expand and to succeed. That's what this past election means to this city. And I'm looking forward to continue the conversation when we get to the Q&A. Thanks for having me today.